So continuing from the previous video, we were explaining there the meaning of colony as the Britishers, or rather the East India Company, was about to make India as their colony. So what does a colony mean? What does a colony means? It is a geographical area. It is a geographical area where politically, rather, which is politically controlled by a distant country. So let's say if there is a country here, there is a country X, and this is a country Y, and these people, the people of country X, come to the country Y, and they see that yes, the country Y is very good. It is very beneficial for us. So let's stay there. Let's consume all its resources. So all the resources that they have, let's consume them and then move back to our own country X. So what happened here is the colony Y, this is the country Y, became the colony of country the country X. Or in other sense, we can also say that the country X became the imperial power. They became the imperial power, and they colonized colonized the country X. So in the previous times, if you have any knowledge, then it says that the Britishers, or rather many of the European countries made the whole world their colony. They captured America, they captured Africa, they captured India here, and the whole globe was colonized by them. So this was the power of Britishers in those times. So well, continuing with our own subjects here. The East India Company, they came to India, and they saw that India is full of raw material. That is, we have a lot of raw material with us. That is, we had iron, we had coal, and whatever they need for their industries. So whatever they require, all the raw material they require for their industries, we had an ample amount. So what they did, they gave tributes, as we have already explained in the previous video. They gave tributes to the local kings, they gave them some pleasantries, and then they acquired the rights. But at the same time, there were certain kings like him, this guy, the man in hat. It is Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla. This is Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla. Siraj-ud-Dawla. He was the Nawab of Bengal. They got the idea that what Britishers are doing here, they are colonizing the whole world, and hence he resented the British policies. He resented the British policies, the military power of the East India Company who was backed by the Britishers, and he resented the whole thing, and hence it led to certain wars. It led to wars, and they had Battle of Plassey. They had Battle of Plassey there. It happened somewhere in 1757, if I'm not wrong. 1757, they had Battle of Plassey, and things went on. Things went on. These are the mere scenes of battles. How battles happened between the Indian rulers and the Britishers there, the East India Company. If this is the flag of British Europe, this is the Britain. Now, the same thing happened with several others. It was not just Siraj-ud-Dawla there were several other kings too. These things continued. The Battle of Plassey continued, several other battles happened, and the Battle of Buxar. Few later dates, Battle of Buxar also happened in 1764. You can see there not much of a time difference here. So 1764 somewhere, Battle of Buxar happened, in which Shah Alam, he was the last ruler of Mughal empire there. The Shah Alam, he was the last effective ruler of the last effective ruler of Mughal empire. and he fought the Battle of Buxar. But again, under the influence of British, the East India Company was very strong. They were so strong that they defeated Shah Alam, and at last they acquired the rights. They acquired the rights of Diwani. They acquired the rights of Diwani. Now, what is Diwani? Now, what is Diwani here? Let's explain that. Diwani means Diwani. What is the meaning of Diwani? Diwani means to acquire the rights, to acquire the rights of revenue, that is all tax collection, collection and civil justice. That's tax, civil justice. So what does it mean? What East India Company did, they took the rights of revenue and civil justice from the king, from the emperor Shah Alam there, so that they can rule. Instead, in simple words, they acquired the rights to rule Bengal. So they were Diwani of Bengal. It was Diwani rights of Bengal. So they acquired that. And in the same manner, slowly and slowly, they acquired the whole of country. This happened there. So if you see, this is the map of 1765, just after the Battle of Buxar. So after acquiring the Diwani rights, you can see Diwani rights, the map of India. It's the part of Bengal nearby Orissa area. These were the areas which were acquired by the East India companies. The East India Company. It was backed by Britishers. So they acquired these area, and in the meanwhile, gradually by 1857, if you see, this is 1857, this is the map of 1857, they slowly and gradually acquired the whole land of India. The area shadowed in pink, you can see the vastness of this area. So initially it was only Bengal, and now it is the major part of India. This whole area, you can see this whole area that is acquired by the British powers, the East India Company. This is the part of Burma in those times. It is outside now. It's now called as Myanmar. This is the eastern coast. There's the western coast, the Mumbai, Maharashtra area. Then it is now in Pakistan, the Sindh, Baluchistan area. Now this is the northern area of India, including Bengal. So what happened? You can see somewhere in 90 years, it happened in somewhere in 90 years. If you see, from 1765 somewhere to 1857, so somewhere approximately 19 years, what they did. But now it was not just Nawabs, it was the whole community, the local citizens also. They were thinking and they were assuming that what Britishers are doing here. They never wanted to get ruled by some foreign powers. They never wanted to get ruled by some foreign powers, as they were used to the local kings. So they all resented. You can see the war is happening. So this is whole, the local leaders, the local kings, the local people, they all are fighting with the British people. So it happened 1857. It was the Indian Revolution. Indian Revolution, or rather a rebellion. So it happened. So the first war of Indian independence that we call, it happened in 1857. A huge amount of power, a huge amount of wealth was lost. Several people were died, and it was more or less carnage. So what happened then? At that time, the queen thought that it is not going to work. The British East India Company, company who's working on their behalf, is not working good. So what they did, the Queen acquired power. They took, if you remember, the Royal Charter, the exclusive rights. So they took the Royal Charter back, the Royal Charter. They took the Royal Charter back, and the Queen herself assumed the power. Assumed the power of India. So she was directly ruling. So in Britain, and this is India. So from Britain, she started ruling India directly by the support of other people, governor generals and viceroys. So what they asked the East India Company to come back, and they sent new people, the governor general, to India to rule India now. And by this time, the whole of India was being governed by, more or less, by the Britishers. If you remember this map here, it is all being captured. This all area is being annexed or was under the influence of the East India Company ruled by Britishers. So the Queen started working in this area. It was India was a colony by that time. But again, the civilians, as you can easily understand, the civilians will never want to get ruled by some other people. But the Queen was there. So what they did, they started revolting. They started revolting. They started protesting regarding the policies which were coming. They wanted more rights. So now the Indian wanted more participation. They wanted more participation in the policy formation. So as you know that the crown was here, they were dealing into all the policy areas, they were making all the things, and they were doing everything for Indian, though for their own benefit. But at the same time, as we have said, that the civilians never wanted that. So they wanted more participation in the lawmaking. They wanted lawmaking. And hence further several things happened. So there were several the Congress was established in India, and further many things happened. There are several revolutionary parties revolutionary parties came into effect, and many revolutionaries came, rather, more or less many revolutionary minds were there. And it happened, mind you, in 90 years again. So if you remember, from 1765, that is the Battle of Plassey, from 1765 till 1857, that is the Mutiny of 1857, and then by 1947, so you can see again 90 years, and then again approximately 90 years. Crucial, you can remember this. So in those times several other things too happened, but our revolutionaries, the big brains of India, they started working. And looking at the proximity of the freedom, as the Britishers were gradually losing powers, you can see this was the time when the power was increasing, and this is the time when the power was decreasing. So by this time, when they saw that the proximity, that the India is about to get independent somewhere, they made a meeting. Then they made a Constituent Assembly. What is a Constituent Assembly then? Constituent Assembly. I'll explain you that. Let me just give you a brief idea what's happening here. So before the independence, the political leaders, calculating the proximity of the freedom as expected, had an intuition of the need that a new kind of rule is required to rule India. Because suddenly, if you say we are about to get independence, we are being colonized by someone, and at some later date, if we get free, what will happen after? What will happen after to our independence? We will have no government. So what they did, they thought, they planned initially that let's do one thing. Let all the big brains, let's collect together, make certain rules that how after our independence our country will get governed. So what they did, they thought that even after if we die, the rules should remain the same. So let's write a book. let's write a rule book. Let's write a rule book that should govern our country. So what is that? This is called as the Constitution. So they started working on the Constitution of our India, that's the rule book of our India, sorry, and they made a Constituent Assembly. They all people gathered, the big brains, you can see the big brains here. He is Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar and other people too. We have Dr. Patel, we have Shastri and other big revolutionary, big independent people. So what they did, they all settled together, they all thought on several policies, the best things, whatever these people did, the best things were taken out, they were made as acts and laws and were written in the rule book. So at the end, the Constitution of India, the name that they gave to the rule book, the Constitution of India came into existence. Came into existence. And since then, India is working as per this rule book. It's already 2011 today, so from 1947 till 2011, somewhere 60 years more. So India is being ruled because of this book. Whatever rules are written there, we are still being governed by this rule book. Many governments have come, many governments have went back, but nothing has changed. The Constitution of India is still the supreme. So how everything happened, you can see there. So this is the way the history of Indian politics, Indian politics begin. This is the mere idea. It's a summary that how history of Indian politics is. And since the rule of several kings and emperors by Britishers and other people, and at the end, the Constitution of India. This is the near rule book. Well, talk to you in the later videos regarding what happened in those 90 years in between and how everything worked on in detail. Take care then. Bye.